Welcome to Bite Size Dental Marketing. Today I have Nate Hudson. Nate, man, we've gone back so long. I am so happy to reconnect with you, but I know you're Renew Digital. You've been there a number of years.
Sure.
What have you been up to, my man? Like, you look amazing. You lost weight. Your beard game is to be jealous of. What have you been doing,
I
buddy?
appreciate that. Oh man, yeah. So I came on to Renew Digital almost exactly 4 years ago. It's been incredible.
Hmm.
Just the amount of influence that we have in the marketplace is super under the radar, but highly discovered by people who want high quality, low cost, but still have all the same opportunities as what somebody who would purchase something new from, hence the name Renew Digital. But
Hmm.
yeah, we just opened up into the scanner game. Like, who knew that you could get an iTero that was rolled out by iTero for under 10 G's, right? So that's the whole name of the game. How do we basically increase efficiency, lower overhead, and broaden procedural codes that you can bill for with a maximum savings on the largest products in the dental office, if you will. So it's been great.
Yeah. Now, how are you? When you bring a product into the market or when you bring a product into an office, what are some of the common questions that you get? And I mean, why would you not?
Sure.
Do it right.
Yeah. Yeah. So most commonly, it's like everybody's just afraid of purchasing something pre-owned. What most people don't know is the technology has been quite literally the same since like 2013. And the reason for that is when you have like these specific sensors, they display this wild amount of shades of gray, and ultra high definition monitors can't display that many shades anyway. So a lot of people think they change like phones, but in fact, they've been the same for literally a decade, but we provide it with the newest software. So for instance, a lot of people that and love have Teslas, right? You trade one in that's 4 years old, and then all of a sudden they update the firmware and the software, and you get like 37 more turn signal noises, 17% fast,
Hmm. Hmm.
and 22% more range. And the same is true with what it is that we do. So we've been wildly successful in that realm.
Yeah. Now, what do you typically see as the production increase or the capability increase of an office that you go into?
It's funny you mentioned that because CareStream did a study in like 2011 where over 72% of people who referred out for adjunct procedures never move forward with treatment. And I hear all the time, hey, we've got
Mm.
87, 62% acceptance rate. But you think about it just in the practical layperson sense. If somebody has to wait in the Chick-fil-A drive-through for 3 minutes, they're like whizzed off for the best chicken nuggets ever. And we're talking three
Hmm.
minutes. Now you've got to send somebody to another facility. They've got to get an adjunct procedure done so that you can get an image to do their implant or endo or guess what they're not doing? Taking another vacation day to go somewhere else to take another vacation day to come back. So you just
Right.
2 half days on vacation by having it all incorporated in your practice. Just convenience, really.
We are seeing more oral surgeons do days into offices. We're seeing more ortho guys come into offices to do treatments. Like,
For sure.
we're seeing dentists who have this technology. We're seeing them use the technology to then bring in an oral surgeon. And yeah, they're giving up 50% of the total, collections of it, but they're getting to keep 50% for basically someone working for them using their technology. And like, it, it's so much better than referring out a bunch of treatment that, to your point, like it just gets lost.
After COVID, we just saw this wild amount of pediatric and orthodontic and general dentists bringing in those specialty procedures.
Hmm.
I had somebody call me and they're like, dude, I keep track of all my referrals and I sent out 237 cases of ortho. Now my guy charges like 6,900 bucks. And then to come and find out that I can have somebody come to my office, be more efficient, and the fee is like 6,200 bucks in this specific part of the country, and I get to keep 30% of it. I'm doing
Yeah.
it anyway, bro. And I'm like,
We've had more offices have record years, and well, certainly their core bread and butter dentistry has been strong. It has been surged by this bringing in people, and they're taking home more money.
Yeah.
But I think you have the technology to do it.
That,
I don't think it makes sense to bring in an oral surgeon if you don't have the technology or ortho to support them. I think that you have to have the technology to give that patient the same end product that they would get at the orthodontist office.
sure. Sure.
Yeah.
A lot of people are worried about the liability associated with it too.
Mm.
But in the great words of Randy Resnick, who runs the Mish Resnick Implant Institute, he sits on a lot of national court cases, and he tells all the time in a CBCT boot camp, let me tell you, if you don't have CBCT, there's a 99% chance I can't get you off. But if you have CBCT, there's a 99% chance that I can protect your license. And that's huge, right? So
Yeah.
is it worth it? What I've also heard too is like once you've done one, you can do more.
Mm-hmm,
Every
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
plant case is for everyone. There's some complex deals out there, not encouraging you to take on everything, but start with the bread and butter first and grow from there.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I love bringing in specialists. And we're seeing where several years ago, I think when we were marketing an office, it was very much about presenting the dentist, and a dentist was a dentist. And I'm not saying, I know that that's not actual reality. I'm saying from a patient standpoint, if they're a dentist, they must be this good. And now in the industry, we know that there's a huge range of the clinical dentists, but we are seeing more and more that as the consumer becomes more educated on the procedures they want, on tooth replacement options, on Invisalign has been a blessing and a curse to marketing because they brought so much awareness to it.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, everyone's competing with Invisalign for anything around clear aligners or ortho now. I am shocked at how educated the consumers are and how now they are seeking out technology, they're seeking out specific procedures, and you see it in the amount of what we call long tail keywords.
Mm,
So you're not seeing just dentist near me as often as you are. Now you're seeing 48-year-old veteran wants implant, or 60-year-old diabetic wants implant, and they're finding people who have developed content but also have the technology
mm.
to have a high success rate. And the rise of long tail keywords has, I think, spurned you know, this push of technology, and people want an office that has great technology.
35% of our clientele are startups. And what we're really grateful for and fortunate of, and we've worked really hard to do this, but 90% of consultants around the country refer to us because you get
Mm,
similar, like, or the same exact product as brand new, but 30 to 60% off of the market.
mm,
So, like, every time I talk to a startup about the 5 Bs, which I've robbed and modified from Matt Zolfo, is banker, broker, broadcaster, bean counter, builder. The builder has a rep relationship, and so will the doctor as well. But those are important in those exact reasons. One, you got to have the money. Two, you've got to have a broker who knows what they're doing so they don't get you in a pickle if you ever want to move or. Um,
mm,
and that's the second most intense financial commitment you'll make outside of a divorce in your life. So that's highly important. And then the broadcaster, what most people, which is what you guys do so great at, is just getting the word out. Well, guess what? It takes, oftentimes 1 to 3 months to generate that content that's acceptable
mm,
to the clinician for what they want to portray to the patient, because there's two things that you guys do so well. You brand and you market. So it's like,
mm,
okay, well, what if I'm in this and like 9 years later I find out dentistry is not my thing? How do I sell something that says Dr. Nathan Hudson Dentistry, right? And maybe you guys help put a creative name around location, procedure mix, or doctor's desires, right? And so you guys do so awesome at that. Then the bean counter helps set up the entity so that taxes are minimized. The second highest cost in a dental practice is tax outside
Hmm.
employees, right? So if you do that well, or you get a great CPA, you minimize the out of pocket that Uncle Sam has set up for business owners. So he's put a plan in
Yeah.
place for us to hire others. Well, heck yeah, let's do it. And the last thing,
Hmm.
builder rep. So rep and the builder just work hand in hand. And you want a good gut feeling about who you're using. If you don't have a good gut feeling about it, you may want to interview somebody else.
I know we talked about, specialists coming in. I know we talked about, this big push technology. The offices that you see really embrace this, how are you seeing them trend? What are you seeing happening out there?
Um, so pretty broad question because it's just so different in each individual category, like from pedo to ortho to
Hmm.
OMS to perio. A couple of things that have just kind of shocked me is the amount of adoption of scanners from specialists. So, and then the other thing is too, the amount of specialists who don't have a CBCT, but everybody surrounding them are almost forcing them to get into it. Like, well, everybody
Hmm.
around me, I've had 3 dentists stop referring to me because I don't have said technology, but I don't want to spend 100 G's. Then, I mean, we oftentimes get that call. So, but in terms of trends, it's cool to see some orthodontists who are like, packaging their own clear aligner systems through 3D printing. On the oral surgery perio side, there's a technology called photogrammetry, and it's just rocking the industry with precision based, all on
Hmm.
implant or dentures design. It's wild. It's incredible.
Nate, you mentioned getting to save 30 to 6% off new equipment. I buy refurbished Apple products. I buy refurbished Dells. I do my research on is I want to make sure that I can get them serviced. Talk me through what happens if I do buy a Natero or I do buy a CBCT. How do you service it? What goes down on the maintenance side?
Yeah, great question. So the one thing I hate the company I work for right now, when I was with a previous employer, was the fact that I'm like, hey, I've got this product to trade in for the doctor. If they're looking at this other product new, wanted to help them with a trade-in value, which is a huge benefit to keep these things out of landfills and what have you. And what I disliked about working with Renew Digital was that 2 out of 3 options were frankly and but respectfully declined. So I'm just like, okay, help me understand this. I've got a Porsche 911 twin turbo all-wheel drive, and you said no. And again, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I can cut you. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
with that being said, I was just like, what? Why not? And they're like, look, man, thank you so much for the opportunity, but we don't want products with 76,000 miles if you were to make that car analogy. We're looking for all Lexus, Mercedes, BMW type products with under 30,000 miles
Mm.
because then you have the reassurance of, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to test that thing in full before we buy it. Then we bring it in house, take it all apart or the covers off, and we inspect. I forget. Don't quote me on the number of inspections, like 87 things. But on the flip side, um, anything that needs repaired, replaced, or refurbished happens at that moment. And then we package it all back together, crate it, ready it for deployment. Half the time, the product's sold before we can get it back in the crate. That's how fast the inventory
Mm.
turns over. But then you pair that with the newest version of software, and bingo, bango, you've got basically a brand new product. So, and then let's say that you're to have an issue. If it's under warranty, which all of our products come with installation, training, warranty, and if you buy 3D, the newest version of 3D software, blah, blah, blah.
Mm.
But we have a remarkable remote support team. So 51% of all phone calls are solved remotely. And then if we were to have to send a part out to the office, then under warranty, again, parts and labor is totally covered. So
Nice, nice.
typically expedite repairs about as fast as any dealer on the market.
That's great. I mean, I I think that it's mostly vanity that drives a lot of the new purchases like that.
Sure.
And I mean, I agree. If you can get a good product that's been looked at by professionals, that's been serviced, I don't know why you wouldn't, other than, just the vanity, or maybe you got more money than you should have. But,
Sure.
you know, I don't have that. I don't have that luxury.
I'll tell you what. What's funny is the most capable, recognized, like prestigious docs in the country buy their gear from us, and it's funny because
Hmm. Hmm.
we're people into the game. Like it could be startups or it could be, you know, whoever is. They're like, man, I gotta have new. I gotta have new. And then 2 years later, they're like, hey, didn't buy the right product. I need something else, but now I can't afford new. But then they take a bath on the trade in of their product. Whereas if they would have bought certified pre-owned to begin with, they would have
Hmm. Hmm.
30 to 60%, and then they wouldn't have been hurt so bad when they traded in for another system. So
Yeah, and it just gives you flexibility in what you want. To your point, it's just I think that owning a business is not about any single event. It's about doing 20 things well.
mhm.
You don't get to do, you don't get to make five glaring mistakes and do 15 things well. I think you got to do most things pretty well
Yeah,
to have a really productive business. And yeah, but man, Nate, it's been wonderful to catch up, and as always, it's so insightful to chat with you. But I'd love to have you on in a couple of weeks to catch up. But
yeah,
thanks so much for your time today, buddy.
pleasure. Yeah, thanks so much.